moving on. I was telling Troy before the stream started that, when I say that if I'm ever praising Disney, it's because I think that they're the most competent of a lot of the studios out there. They strike me as the most competent. It doesn't mean that I necessarily think that they're the good guys either. And we have some doozies tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars related news.
Yep.
And this has to do with Alan Dean Foster. Any of you know who the author Alan Dean Foster is?
He's an author that goes way back.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that wrote, even before there was a sequel in mind for Star Wars, George Lucas approached him to write a novel that could be a sequel if a movie was never made. And thus came the first EU book, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And he's done a lot of Star Wars books from there. He's done other stuff too. He's done Star Trek. He's done all sorts of
he's been
great stuff. Very good writer. He's written some of my favorite Star Wars books too.
It's going to sound terrible. I was surprised he was still alive. Actually, I was like, oh, there you go. Okay, I didn't realize he was still He's still writing too.
So that kind of ties into this, right? Because Disney hasn't been working with him, so he might not be as much in the public eye as he used to be.
Yeah,
and there's a problem there.
The headline reads, this is Bounding in the Comics, Spencer Peculi writes, hope I said that right. Disney attempts to withhold royalty payments from veteran Star Wars author Alan Dean Foster as SFWA sparks hashtag at Disney must pay.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm sure we think they have to pay for a lot of things. But apparently, I see a picture of him here. He wrote the novelization of The Force Awakens.
Yep, that's
he probably
true.
Made it. He probably made it better.
Yep. He also contributed to, or he also wrote the novelization for Aliens, I believe.
He did. That comes up in this article too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did Aliens, and Alien 3. Did the novelizations for those. Mm-hmm. And apparently Disney, Lucasfilm, they're withholding royalties from Alan Dean Foster.
Yeah.
And SFWA president Mary Kowal, she basically says, I normally in these types of proceedings, I don't name the name of who's doing it. We try to keep things, a little on the rest. She said it's the big bad is Disney.
Yeah.
This time around. He'd written the original. Yeah, Al was right. He was the ghostwriter for the original novelization of Star Wars. So he's been at this for a while. And I guess the idea is these books are still selling even today. People may want to read the novelization of Star Wars. I mean, I've never read the novelization of Star Wars. I heard the radio show, and that expanded a lot on the movie. So I'm kind of curious if the novel does that as well, if there's stuff from the radio show in the novel. But apparently this novel is still selling well, but Disney has decided that they don't have to actually pay him royalties on it.
Well, here's the problem. See, between the original Star Wars, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the Approaching Storm, which all predate Disney, buying Lucasfilm. As far as they're concerned, none of that stuff exists, right? Anything EU doesn't exist anymore. You heard Kathleen Kennedy. There are no books, to draw from. And the fact is, he still has a contract with Lucasfilm. You purchase Lucasfilm, that contract still exists. You still owe me royalties. And Disney goes, no, we don't. Sorry, Disney, that's not how contracts work. If it did, this would be a very different business world where anytime a company changes hands, suddenly all contracts are null and void. That's not how it works.
I am wondering if they're thinking they can pull a fast one over on him and saying, hey, sorry, when we bought Lucasfilm, that contract became null and void. Sorry, we don't owe you any royalties. And I'm thinking, like Peter S. Beagle, he ran into big trouble over, The Last Unicorn, the book.
Yep.
The movie they based on it.
Sure.
They were re-releasing it on home video and DVD. They weren't paying him royalties on it. And he was trying to make a point that, his mom had cancer, and he ended up paying a lot of expenses out of pocket for that because the medical wouldn't cover. And, he needed the money that was owed him, because I think a lot of the time people think, oh, this guy's a best-selling author. He has tons and tons of money. That's not the case. I think even Alan Dean Foster made a point that he had medical issues. His wife had as well, and But
I'll be honest with you, all of that stuff is completely irrelevant. I don't care
actually, you're right.
I don't care if he's poor or if he's just buku rich. If you owe him, you owe him.
You owe him. It's the law. I understand. I'm trying to do this for the fact that
no, but I dig what you're saying. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
you're going to have naysayers out there saying he's already rich. He just wants more money, and I don't know why anyone wants to defend the big.
Well, yeah, socialists will say that absolutely.
Yeah. But the point is that these guys don't have as much money as you think they did. But even if he did, and even if he was like, it's still his money. It's the law. They owe him this, and I'm thinking it's going to go to court. I'm going to be very interested to see how this turns out. I hope that I hope that the legal system errs on the side of justice here and gets Alan Dean Foster and any other writer or creative that gets ripped off their due. I mean, this is kind of a sad age. I mean, I have a comment here at the bottom. It's not really related to this, but I was like, don't even get me started on the horrors of the music industry right now. How musicians are treated. It's terrible what goes on.
Well, but that's been true since even before the digital age. I mean, where the studios would take all the money and the only money there was to be made on these great hit records was if they went out and killed themselves on the road, performing constantly.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why some of these artists, succumb to their baser instincts because they're just trying to find escapism from the hell they've ended up putting themselves in.
Yeah. And it's kind of a sad commentary on modern times that, I mean, I guess, but you've argued this is probably going on since time memoriam, but
yeah, I mean, the medium may have changed, but the business, theory has not changed at all.
Auditor Dread brings up a point. He wrote the Thing novelization. That's interesting because he did the novelizations for the first 3 Alien movies as well. And actually, what I think's interesting about this is that Disney also, as everyone knows, they bought 20th Century Fox.
Yep.
Well, when you buy 20th Century Fox, you also buy the novelizations that they released. That
it's a good point. I wonder if those are part of the lawsuit as well.
I don't know. They could be a separate lawsuit for all we know. I don't know. Point is, Disney owes him money for the novels that they're selling that he wrote, and they're not giving him money for them. I can understand if like Disney said, okay, we're not going to be releasing these things for sale anymore. That's a different story. But if they are making money off of that, they owe him a cut.
Well, and I would also, if I was his attorney, I'd say, well, it doesn't matter what you're going to do in the future. We're talking about the books that have sold already that you owe him for. See?
Yeah. And, Disney doesn't want to. I know they want this to go away. It's not going to go away. They need to settle up. But
and any other year, this probably would be pittance to them, and it would almost be worth settling out of court just to make it go away. This year, they can't afford to leave any money on the table. So they really do have to sit and weigh going to court and fighting it as opposed to paying out. And it could be a very close balancing act.
I believe studies have shown that people are now reading more during this pandemic than they have in years, which makes sense because there's not really a lot of new content coming elsewhere but books.
And I honestly believe that more people are going back to the EU because they have been very dissatisfied with what Disney's been putting out. So people are rediscovering things like Splinter of the Mind's Eye and the horrific incest inferred by it.
Oh Lord, yes, I know. They mentioned that a minute ago. I'm a little horrified though. I just thought of something though. He wrote The Force Awakens for Disney, correct? The novelization,
I think, yeah. Keep in mind that when you do a novelization, it's not your fault. You're just taking a screenplay and turning it into a novel.
What if Disney, is it possible, and I'm thinking he would have caught this, obviously, but is it possible, like, since now the chance changed, that he could have signed a contract, or they would have tried having him sign a contract that said, we don't owe you money for previous works covered under Lucasfilm when you take this contract to write this book for us?
Don't know.
I don't know either.
Because I don't know the details of his contract, and that won't come out until it actually goes to court. I'll certainly be following it. I'll certainly be interested in seeing those kinds of things. But I can also tell you that because he didn't have the books that he is referring to that he has legal claim on, are parts of contracts from before he, Lucasfilm and 20th Century Fox were bought by Disney. Usually contracts with Disney come with some sort of NDA, keep your mouth shut, gag orders.
Interesting.
He would not have signed those because they inherited him. He did not make an agreement with Disney. So they can't get it both ways, right? They can't say, well, it's owned by us now and we don't have an agreement with you. Oh, you don't have an agreement with us? Then I can say whatever I want. Right?
Exactly. Hey, that's always good to have, which means you can maybe hopefully get the public.
I just hope he's got a good representation. That is,
I'm sure he does. It looks like the what is it? The Science Fiction Writers Guild are very interested in this because, of course, they want him. They're on his side too. That's very good that they're. I mean, I don't know where they've been in the past, but I'm glad they're on his side. Sound Engraver has a good comment here, though. My dad knew a composer who wrote for Disney. I can't remember his situation, but it was along the lines of his being contracted by Disney and having no license to any original music, even music which wasn't composed for Disney. That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was an
always read your contracts, people.
Wasn't there
before you sign? Have an attorney go over it.